Welcome back, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and in today's episode, we go over the 2024 Baltimore Comic Con. In fact, this is going to be the first in a series of episodes where I break down my different experiences at the con. Today's episode is all going to be dedicated to the walkthrough. You're going to get a montage of a lot of the different things going on, as well as a follow-up at the very end where I talk about my feelings about the show, and more importantly, I talk about the upcoming episodes where I break down some of the very specific things that I did at the con. So sit back, enjoy, and I'll be right back. Hey there, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and here I am in Baltimore, Maryland for the Baltimore Comic Con. It's day one. Pretty early in the morning here, several hours before we're even supposed to open up, but I wanted to come in early, get my tickets, and actually get into the VIP line as early as I can so I can be one of the first people in. Going to be doing some work with CGC today, so I want to get there first and be able to get a witness. I think we're going to end up starting with Walt and Louise Simonson as my first CGC signing for today, but there's a lot of people on my list. I've got a lot of stuff to get signed. So we're going to start with day one here and go from there. So stay tuned and enjoy the show. Hey, heading to get my tickets. VIP. Good morning.
Yes, I am going. I have to run it by a friend of mine and give him this book. So I'm going to be out here for about 20 minutes, and then we'll sit down and decide what has to be. Good question. I hope to do something more. I got a couple more. No, God, no. I don't want to be responsible for your stuff. No, I don't do that. So, or if I do it, I'll be selling it myself and doing it real. So that's how that'll work. But if you don't mind standing in line, I'll be doing checking. I will limit the number of checks, so you'll find out fairly early on and then get mine. Just so people know. So, all right.
Thank you. Thanks, Walt. Well, I appreciate you taking the time.
No problem.
Thank you, Walt.
Thank you for your patience.
No worries.
Hey, Pat. You doing, bro?
How you been, man?
Doing good. I haven't been around looking at comics yet. Where are y'all set?
Right over there. You see Paul's banner?
Yeah.
Go right on the outside Paul's. Paul's where the Funko's there. So come on around the outside and we're right over there.
Will do.
Yeah, man,
I got you marked on the map, so I'll be there. Look right there. It's
Great.
awesome.
And guess who walked by?
Who's that?
Walt Simonson.
Oh, he did a dinosaur.
And he said, Chris, you're making me look bad because I'm not working right now. And I said, well, don't be jealous. You can draw on it too. And then he gave me a look and he just picked it up and started going at it.
Oh my God, that's so awesome.
My son has no idea who he's missing.
And you got Don Rosa.
And I got-
He's always nice. He makes you sit down and talk to him, which I kind of like.
Yeah, that's nice.
That is awesome.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that montage. Even though it said at the very beginning when I was walking into Baltimore and it said it was day one, well, truth be told, that footage ended up being footage from all 3 days at the con. And it was a great time. I had a wonderful time there. This is in my backyard, so this is my hometown comic book show that I go to each and every year. I've only missed a couple over the last 25 years. But again, I had a great time, and I got a lot of things signed, and picked up a few books, not as many as I want, and my overall impression of the show was it was really good, but it wasn't spectacular. And I only say that in the terms of the people that were there, for the most part, the big names, the Jim Lees, the Walt Simonsons, they're regular guests. Jim Lee was here 2 years ago. Walt and Louise Simonson are here just about every year. There were some other names that were there that I've never seen before. Ryan Otley, Ryan Stegman, for example. But I didn't get that sense of that big superstar that had never been to the show before. And I'm not saying that that's bad, but it does become, I don't want to say stale, that's too harsh of a word. But I did have a great time at this, and I got a lot of things signed. In fact, I think I got more things signed at this con than I have in years past. So it's not like it was bad, and this is a personal take. I don't want you guys going away from this thinking that this was a bad con at all. In fact, it is one of my favorite shows. Now, I only go to 2 huge shows during the year, this one and the Heroes Con. Now, I didn't make it to Heroes Con this year, but both of those shows are very similar. It's 100% focused on the comic book creators, and even though they do have some media guests there, it is always an addition to the comic book show. The focus isn't on the celebrity like it is at a Fan Expo or the San Diego Comic-Con or some of the other big cons like that. So it is 100% focused on the comic book creators, and just about everybody that's there is there for the comic book creators, and that's fantastic. Now, from the footage you saw, that was me going into the VIP line at the very beginning of the show. That extra bit that you pay for that actually gets you into the show a half hour early, and that was crucial because when you go in, you need to get in line with certain people that take forever. And Walt Simonson is one of those people. And day one, I walk in and I get into his line. I'm about 20 people back. You saw some of the footage of him talking to us. And he wasn't going to be doing he wasn't going to be doing sketches on day one, but he was going to be doing signings. and it was only going to be for about an hour. And then he had panels the rest of the day. So if you weren't in that first group, which was really all VIP people, you weren't going to get a signature from Walt on day one. You would have to go day two. And day two was enormously popular. There was a ton of people there, whereas day one was pretty lax, and overall there wasn't a lot of people compared to what day two was. That's typical, though, of a Saturday on one of these cons. So I was in the first, maybe I was about 16 people back, and it took a little while, but I was able to get Walt pretty early in that first group. And again, when they opened up the general public, this would have been at I guess technically it would have been, we got in, it starts at 1 o'clock, so we got in at 12:30. Walt and Louise were already there. We go down, get in line. He talks to us about what he wants to do for today. And then when he starts signing, by the time the public entrance opens, it's already 1 o'clock and the line's already cut off, honestly, at that point. And I'm sure there was a lot of disappointed people at that point, and they had to think about what they're going to do on Saturday and then on Sunday as well. So I got Walt. That was the very first thing I did, and Louise, and I spent the rest of the day, honestly, getting just about everybody I wanted to be signed. And in one of the future episodes, and I'll break down the episodes coming up in a minute, I go through everybody and I'll show you everything that I did get signed. I'm not going to go over that today. I'm just going to do the breakdown. And again, just my overall impression. The other thing that my takeaway from the show was there were a ton of dealers. There were a lot of dealers there. There was a lot of the local dealers there, as well as people who have traveled throughout the country to display at the show. There were a lot of great books. And maybe this is letting the cat out of the bag, that was on the search for a Hulk 181 via trade. And that is actually going to be one of the episodes coming up where I talk a little bit about that experience. And then I go down and I break down what else I was looking for. So in another episode, we're going to end up doing just a little bit of a comic book haul. And again, cat out of the bag. It wasn't a huge haul, but I found some pretty good books, and I'll talk about that in that episode too. Now, a third episode, and I guess I'm already breaking it down for you guys, is going to be about meeting the creators with a CGC witness. And I did have a lot of experience this weekend with CGC, whether it was submitting books just to be graded, or if it was to get a witness and have it signed at the con and then submit at the con. So I've got two different episodes where I'm going to be talking about that. One, of course, what I just said, I'm going to be taking a witness with me to a couple of the artists and we'll get things signed. That'll be an episode. And then the big episode, honestly, is going to be about meeting most of the comic book creators. Mostly this is going to be on Friday. There's several on a couple of the other days. And getting books signed. And these are just raws that are going to be in the PC. And that will be the big episode because that is the majority of the time that I spent here at the Baltimore Comic-Con. And then in the last episode, it's going to be the CGC submission process. I'm still working on the editing on that and see if there's actually going to be enough content for that to be talked about. I may have to roll that into the episode where I do the witness with CGC and just kind of roll that into that episode. I'm not sure yet. So there's either going to be 4 or 5 additional episodes after this. So I hope you guys will stay tuned for that. So briefly, let's just recap. Today's episode is going to be was the overall take on the show. The next episode, well, honestly, let's not get ahead of myself. The next episodes, I don't know if they're going to be in which order. It'll depend on the editing a lot on this, but I will do an episode on the search for Hulk 181 and how I wanted to go about that. 2 will be a comic book haul. 3, meeting the comic book creators and getting books signed. 4 is getting comic books signed with a CGC witness and submitting those books. And then 5 will be the CGC submission of just Blue Label books without getting signatures. So it's going to be a pretty ambitious take. I had a lot of fun going around filming, and I took a page out of Sticky Goose's playbook. I had a strap-on contraption that I had the phone up here at the whole time. I should have probably brought it down so I could show you guys. It wasn't quite strapped on the chest. It did have extend a little bit, so the phone is right out there. And I use my phone as my camera, so that's the kind of contraption I used. I had a little Bluetooth fob that I could control that with. And honestly, it was a first time experience with that, and I probably could have done a lot better job with that if I had taken time ahead of that, weeks ahead of that, and practiced with it a little bit more. It was funny, I filmed a lot of stuff that were just me walking around, and you see a lot of stuff going on the show. You saw that in the footage, but I'd forget to film. As soon as I walk up to the artist, I'm going, crap, I forgot to actually film some of this. And so it's going to be an editing nightmare at this point, but it was an interesting experience walking around with that. I think you'll get a little bit of a taste of it when you get to see Louise Simonson on there. She actually points out the camera and we talk about it a little bit. It's a kind of an interesting thing. Oh, and it just dawned on me, I forgot the last episode that I might do, and I've got to see, because I don't really have footage on it, but I think I want to talk about it. So there may be a bonus 6th episode where I go to Comic Link and to talk about selling some of my original artwork. And unknowingly to me at that point, because I didn't put 2 and 2 together, but the person I was talking to was Steve Borak, who helped create CGC, helped found CBCS. He's the biggest grader name out there, and I didn't realize who I was talking to at the time, and I went back. I don't have footage of me talking to him, but I think what I want to do is sit down and talk about my experience with him a little bit as well. So that may be a bonus episode if I can figure out how to edit that without actually having footage of me at Comic Link. That's going to be a little odd. So maybe it should be a short episode where I just talk about it, and maybe I show off some of the artwork that I'm interested in selling via Comic Link. So stay tuned for that as well. There may be a bonus 6th episode. But guys, I will say that if you've never been to the Baltimore Comic Con, come and enjoy it. You can get a taste of getting books signed. There are so many dealers that you can't go wrong. Except for the prices. I mean, we can talk about prices day in, day out, and I'll touch on that on some of the other episodes there. But in terms of finding books, period, man, you could find a lot of stuff. There were a ton of stuff there. Ton of creators to come meet. Overall, a great experience. If you guys have never been, you got to come. The Orioles were in town, so if you wanted to, you could go see them play the Tigers over the weekend. Weather was fantastic. Next year's show is going to be around October 17th, 18th, and 19th, which is great. It's going to end on my birthday. That'll be a nice birthday present for me in a year. I think Chris Claremont is already signed up to be here for next year, so that's something to look forward to. Guys, definitely come and check this show out. If I was a little negative on the show at the beginning, that's only because I was wanting to have a bigger superstar that I've never seen before. That's the only takeaway that's a negative for me. And that's not much of a negative, because how can you go wrong having a Jim Lee at a show? Having Walt Louise Simonson back, having guys like Otley and Stegman show up. Now, they may have been here earlier, but they were never on my radar too much earlier. In fact, I'm a fan, but I'm not a huge fan or anything. So it wasn't like they were on my top of the wish list or anything like that. But I digress. Even though I'm not Peter David, great show. Definitely check it out next year when you get a chance to come, and I hope to see you there. But guys, that is it for the first episode. Be sure to check out the following episodes as I put these out on the Baltimore Comic Con. I hope you check them out. Hope you give me a like. Definitely subscribe and click on that notification bell so you know when I put these episodes out. I appreciate all the support out there. And if you want to leave me a comment today about today's episode, definitely leave it in the comment section below. All right, guys, I'm sure I forgot a million things to say, but I'm out of here. If I think about it, I'll throw it into one of the other episodes, and we'll go from there. But until then, remember, every comic has a story.